Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has warned the U.S. that if Tehran cannot export oil, no other country will export it from the Persian Gulf.
Shalom, Israel. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect. Hey, breaking news, Akim. You know, hey, we getting closer to getting out of here, man. Now, Ww3 is brewing up. Now, as you see as the title of this on Press TV, no oil will go through Persian Gulf if U.S. targets Iran crude oil.
America should know that we're selling our oil and will continue to sell it. And the U.S. is not able to stop Iran's oil export. The U.S. should know if one day it tends to stop Iran's oil exports, no oil exports will occur in the Persian Gulf.
You know, and as I seen that, I'm like, man, this is big news, man. This is really big news. All right, so I got the article basically going into the I got the article going into the video. I was just showing Akim. No oil will go through Persian Gulf if U.S. targets Iran crude exports. So it says President Hassan Rouhani, as we just heard, has reaffirmed that the United States will not be able to stop Iran's oil sales, warning that no crude will find its way out of the Persian Gulf should Washington attempt to target Iran crude exports. You know, and hey, we already seen how all these other nations, even America's so-called allies, all right, that is also a prophecy that they that were at confederate with thee have brought thee even to the border. You know, and what we're seeing is basically a transformed power, man, to where as America, or in the scriptures known as that great whore, all right, the big bully, if you will, who at one point bullied all these nations, and hey, they basically were eating out of the palm of America's hand, man, because America basically had the the say so on how they will trade. You know what I'm saying? As far as they would have to trade with the American dollar, otherwise known as the petrodollar, man. You know, all right, which they had the upper hand on that. You know, through the crude oil, through the petroleum oil. But now we see it to where Iran, all right, is having the upper hand, man. And like I said, you know, it came out maybe a few weeks ago to where these other nations were like, "Fuck you, America." You know, we're still gonna do business with Iran, all right. And the sanctions that they put on Iran, all right, for supposedly continuing with their ballistic missile programming was bullshit. So it says the U.S. should know that we are selling and will continue to sell our oil, and they will not be able to block Iran's oil exports. And it should also know that if it attempts to stop Iran's oil sales someday, no oil will be exported from the Persian Gulf, he said during a speech on Tuesday in the city of Sharad, Saman province. Rouhani further noted that Washington had failed in its declared aims of stopping Iraq's crude exports, choking its trade with the world, and isolating the country regionally and internationally. You know, because like I was saying before, nobody's listening to America, man, and they're still working with Iran despite the disapproval of America. It says, our great nation proved to be the ultimate victor of this battle on all stages, the president said, basically mocking America. Washington has reimposed its unilateral anti-Iran sanctions, including an oil embargo, and after withdrawing from a landmark 2015 nuclear deal between Tehran and major powers in May, in defiance of international objections. The U.S. had initially vowed to reduce Iran oil sales to zero under the bans, but it later backed down and granted waivers to almost all of Tehran's major crude buyers. Which we know that wasn't the case. They just basically, America didn't want to seem like they lost. All right, so for that, they Salakia. They trying to make it seem like they still have power over these other nations by supposedly allowing them to still do deals with with Iran. All right, but they not listening, man. They don't give a fuck what America says. They still doing deals with Iran despite these hard ass sanctions. The U.S. should know that our people will preserve their cultural, economic, and political relations with the countries of the region and the world. I had seen, I forgot, one of the brothers had threw it up to where Iran was telling the other Muslim nations, as far as like Saudi Arabia, which America got in their back pocket. He was telling all the other nations to, hey, let's get together, man. Which, there's, if you look in the news, there's sometimes where the Muslim nations, they have their little councils and summits, man. All right, and it's prophecy to where the Carmanians and the Arabians in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, will come together against America. All right, it says they will come together and waste a portion of the Assyrians, which is America. The Islamic Republic, he added, is not adversarial. It says, Salaki, we will expand our relationship with neighbors, Muslim countries, and the world, Rouhani said. The Islamic Republic, he added, is not adversarial towards any of its neighbors. The president further underscored the Iranian nation's great victories of the past 40 years in the fight against the oppressive and tyrannical enemy, referring to the U.S. He further pointed out a number of defeats the U.S. has suffered in its hostile plots, including staging a coup, undermining the economy through sanctions, and breaking away the southern province of Khuzestan from the country. Because if you know anything about how America gets down, if you don't succumb to their rules, they'll stage a coup in your country and overthrow your president, man. To put a puppet president in there that will do what America wants. All right, so America always gets hostile when they can't get their way, man. It goes on to say, U.S.-Israel detests powerful Iran. The U.S. and Israel cannot tolerate the existence of a powerful Iran, he said. Nor can they tolerate the existence of any other country that doesn't want to get down with them. Now look at Cuba, man. They put heavy sanctions on Cuba, man, to where if it wasn't for like Russia and these other countries that would be willing to trade with Cuba, they would still be in the slums. Rouhani said that the U.S. unanimously, it says you cannot. Okay, the U.S. and Israel cannot tolerate the existence of a powerful Iran, he said, adding that the Iranian nation would never bow down to them. Rouhani said the U.S. animosity towards Iran has drawn no backing except from the Tel Aviv regime and a few small states, adding that Washington has even failed to win support for such a policy at the United Nations and the International Court of Justice. Our nation will not allow a smile to appear on the face of the enemy, he stated. We will build an Iran which is more powerful than ever before. And this is the U.S. response, man, to where it says, this article, the U.S. Navy is sending an aircraft carrier to the Persian Gulf in a message to a belligerent Iran. Because as we just read in the previous article, the U.S. always responds, all right, to basically a confident country, if you will, with violence, man. It says, there has not been an aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf since March, but that is coming to the end as a carrier group led by the USS John C. Stennis is expected to arrive in the region by week's end. All right, and what a coincidence, man. Just as I think it was today, to where Iran announced the fact of no oil will be going out of the Persian Gulf. All right, if the U.S. pushes those sanctions, what a coincidence that the U.S. gotta go over there in the Persian Gulf with a missile. What is it? With an aircraft carrier. You know. So it says the carrier group is expected to send a deterrence message to Iran, which testified a ballistic missile capable of carrying multiple warheads over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal reported. So here it is, man. Iran is just strong in their power, man. The carrier and its escort ships will also support the ongoing fight against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, as well as the war in Afghanistan. It says a U.S. carrier force is sailing toward the Persian Gulf, preparing to close a months-long carrier gap in the Middle East. And I had seen something earlier today to where the U.S. I think it was Afghanistan or Pakistan. Let me see if I can find it. Salakia, 1 second. Try to find it real quick. Oh, I think they're trying to make... Okay, it was Pakistan, Salakia. So, yeah, scratch that. But it says, reading on, a U.S. carrier force is sailing toward the Persian Gulf, preparing to close a month-long carrier gap in the Middle East. The USS John C. Stennis aircraft carrier and its escort ships will arrive in the region by week's end. The deployment, the first carrier deployment to the Persian Gulf since the USS Theodore Roosevelt left 8 months ago, is intended as a clear show of force against Iran, the Wall Street Journal reported Monday. The carrier group certainly provides a deterrence to aggressive Iranian activities in the area, U.S. defense officials told WSJ. The carrier task force will also support the fight against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, as well as the war in Afghanistan, which is a bunch of BS, man, because the whole world knows that they the ones that's funding these wars. Really has a ploy to just be over there in the Middle East, where coalition airstrikes are on the rise, according to the latest air power statistics from U.S. Air Force Central Command Combined Air Operations Center. So they basically over there to say, well, as I said, man, they're over there as a deterrent to Iran and to stop them from testing nuclear missiles, man. I mean, ballistic missiles. So this war is brewing up, man, as well as the chip is brewing up, man. All right. So this is Joel. Well, actually, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to Ww3. Habakkuk 2 and 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. So, all right, so the Lord is writing, telling us, what time we in. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that they may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And the vision is coming, man. The vision to where America is going to go to World War 3. All right, they're going to implement the chip, at the same time while they're going to, prior to going to World War 3, which we see it now. All right, along, with martial law, great death, destruction, and chaos. All right, and hey, America being destroyed, man. And we see that happening all, for the watchmen, man. So this is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I am strong. So this is the weak, where at one point, America could feel like they would easily, take advantage and bully these smaller nations like Iran. Now they're saying I am strong, man. For one, they got the backing of stronger nations like Iran, which at one time was called Persia, now has the backing of Russia. And that's important because when you read the Ezekiel the 38th chapter, it says that Gog and Magog, or Russia, would be a guard unto them. And then no longer they're spending more of their money on military military equipment. So that's how they're saying I am strong. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Okay? In the valley of Jehoshaphat. Alright? As it says right here, I'm going to just jump back real quick to Joel 2:20. It says, let's see. But I will remove far off from you the northern army. Alright, the Lord's talking about Israel. He's going to remove, alright, the army, basically American army, you know what I'm saying? And bring him, it says, and will drive them into a land barren and desolate, alright, which is over there in the Middle East, around Syria, Yemen, Iraq, over there in that area. Alright, it says, with Iraq, Syria, Yemen, which is in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, that whole area right there, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the uttermost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. Alright, being a damn devil, basically being a bully upon the whole earth, man. And now Iran, along with these other nations, is coming up against America, man. Alright? And one of the greatest things he has done, man, is put the apple of the Most High's eye and crew in captivity, man. So, hey, they're going to pay for that, man. Alright, real quick, this is Revelation chapter 9 and verse 14. Also going to prove where the valley of Jehoshaphat is. So it says 9, and actually I'm going to start at 12. One woe is past, and behold, there cometh two woes more after. Talking about World War 1, 2, alright, and we approaching World War 3. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Alright, and if you look up where the great river Euphrates is, just a quick Google search. Alright. Euphrates, alright, like it says right here, is around the area of Iraq, Syria, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iran, in that area. So they're there for a purpose. America's there for a purpose, man. And the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. So the angels basically loose to destroy America, man. Alright? And to wherever the nukes, may go, man. which we know all of America is going to be destroyed, as well as most of Russia. All right, and other like I said, other nations to where the nuclear missiles, other nations that carry nuclear missiles, man. So I got that just to prove that. So back at Joel chapter 3, Salakia, maybe moving too fast. Let me see if it's more on that. Let's see. And that was it on that. That says that was it on that. It just basically goes into how we know that's basically going to who the horsemen are, what's the horsemen, Salakia. It goes more into who the horsemen are, what's the horsemen. It's synonymous for the missiles. Sometimes, well, in that instance, it's synonymous for the missiles, okay? So, this is Joel chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fast overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. Here it is. America's going. Hey, my personal belief is that America, once they send they aircraft carrier out there, they're not coming back, man. All right. And actually, I had seen something, which I'm a Lord willing, if I remember, I'm gonna put this in the description. I thought it was pretty good too. And it's a spirit, because as I was thinking about doing this lesson, this actually came up on my feed on Press TV. It says Iran can hold U.S. aircraft carrier hostage if it wants to. In America, being a big bully, being that having that pride that it had, having that pride that it has. Hey, I don't think they're gonna leave, man. And it says multitudes, because as I was saying before, these other nations, America's allies like France, Greece, and all of them, all right, they still buy or get oil from Iran, man. Hey, so Ww3 is brewing up. Hey, stay tuned. We almost out of here. So with that, Lord willing, you Akim was edified. Shalom to the elect.